Happy Friday. Welcome in. I'm back. If you have loved not having me on the show this week, I'm sorry. It's a rough day for you here today. I'm back in the saddle, back from San Francisco for the Super Bowl, back from a nice little vacation as well. And I am more than happy, delighted to be joining Meghan Angley back on the set today. Like I said, I know. I told Meghan when she was texting me the guest she was having on, I was like, I'm going to be out of a job by the end of the week. So big shout out to not only Meghan, but our good friends Evan Rowell and Corey Masterstack for filling in this last week. I am going to be joined by Meghan Angley here in just a couple moments. We are unpacking the Avs at the Olympics and really just the start of the Olympic tournament in general on the men's side. Plus, we will get into the women's side of the tournament, which is already hitting the quarterfinal stage of that tournament as were the men's just getting underway. So a lot of Olympic hockey to talk about and unpack. And really, I'm looking forward to today's show. It's just going to be us hanging out, talking hockey, which is maybe my favorite thing ever to do. Before we get into all that, I do want to start by reminding you guys about our great friends over at Furniture Row. You know, we were out of the Super Bowl all last week and, we were making do with our mobile set. And I genuinely missed sitting in these chairs that we're in right now. Can't say enough good things about Furniture Row and the redesign they helped us with here on the set. They are a family-owned company, and they offer high-quality home furniture at an incredible value. It's an experience tailored toward everyone. If you've ever been to a Furniture Row, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And today, they've grown to over 100 locations across the U.S., making sure that shopping at Furniture Row is something that works for everyone in every state. And they built their business around 3 core values: terrific selection, unbeatable value, and a knowledgeable staff. I'm telling you, you go in there and you talk to just anybody that works there. It's great to talk with them. Their sales associates have become legendary in the furniture industry for their expert knowledge, friendly, no pressure demeanor. Seriously, cannot say enough good things about Furniture Row. If you're looking, whether it be for your bedroom, your living room, your bathroom, your dining room, they've got it all for you. It's real furniture. It's real value. Furniture Row and FurnitureRow.com. Do also want to remind you guys about our great partners over at RefiJet, the OGs on the Off-Ice podcast. RefiJet. Did you know that you could refinance your auto loan? I didn't until I met the folks over at RefiJet, and they can help you save around $150 every single month, all which is a soft credit pull and zero hassle. It's lower payments. It's flexible terms. Might even be able to get some cash back in your pocket from your car's equity. And as we head into tax time, I can't think of any person who wouldn't want a little bit of extra cash back. Head on over RefiJet.com/sports. You guys hear me talk about it every show. The best way to support us and the work that we're doing here is by checking out what our partners are doing. So RefiJet.com/sports. Fill out a form, see if they can't help save you some money. It is the faster, easier way to refinance. Hey, everybody, welcome in. Jesse Montano, Meghan Angley here. It's Friday. The sun is out. It's maybe not blistering hot out there, but it's beautiful day for February here in Colorado. Meghan, oh my gosh. It's been so long. It's been so long. I was starting to forget what you looked like.
Oh, and I keep changing things. I keep doing things to my hair.
I walked out of the back office today. I was like, who's this? Hi, I'm Jesse. Nice to meet you. It was Meghan. No, I'm just kidding. How the heck are you?
I'm doing really well. It's a shame that it's like the reunion happens on the end of the week and we won't have another show for a bit. But there's plenty to catch up on. And actually, this little bit of a break has been kind of nice. Like the Eagles played last weekend. They'll play this weekend. But the start of this week, they had some time off because of the All-Star break. So it was good to pause and take a deep breath. Hopefully you were able to do the same after the Super Bowl stuff.
Yes. Yeah. It was, now I got to say here, look, I think the NHL does a fantastic job. Like, I think the NHL, I think they get a lot of crap at times for the way that the league runs, sometimes decisions they make. But I overall, I think they do a good job. You and I have been, both lucky enough to go to some league events Stanley Cup Finals, draft, things like that, NHL awards. They do a really good job. They're it's a professional organization. They do them up. The NFL, Meghan, it's just on a different level.
Yeah.
It's a different tier of money. It's a different tier of resources.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think the NHL does an outstanding job with their product. This was my favorite story from the week because you'll appreciate this. Having gone to different national events, picking up your credential is always for the NHL a little bit of a. You got to find the right building.
I sure hope they have it.
Right. And then you go in there and you talk to a person and they kind of thumb through a filing system, find the name. It's fine. It's fine. The NFL, they kind of usher you into this building and they go, all right, through the doors. And then you walk up and there's all these like tablets lined up on the wall.
Eye scanners.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Meghan.
No.
Yes. I there's a person sitting there like, hey, go ahead and come on down. Like, all right, go ahead and feed on the blue tape and look up at the screen. If the camera is the screen, I centered my feet. I got here and my name popped up. And it said, Jesse Montano, go to lane 1, desk A. I walked in there before I even got up to the desk. This guy goes, are you Jesse? Here you go. And I'd like walk 15 feet to him before he had it holding out ready. And I was just like, this is maybe a silly thing to be like really impressed by. I've never worked in an NFL event. I don't know how they got my face.
I am so curious how it works for women. If they show up to pick up their cred, maybe wearing a little less makeup straight off the plane. How will it know? Even my phone doesn't always know.
But yeah, facial recognition.
Wow.
To tell you what, and I mean, it was like the smoothest process.
That's so cool.
And again, just like everything was done up to the nines, but I just had to tell you that because that was something where I was sitting there, I was like, anybody else who's like worked in other leagues knows how awesome this is. Like
so unbelievable. I joked about it a second ago.
Right.
Oh, next you're gonna tell me they get your thumbprint in the thumbprint scanner.
It was crazy. So no, it was fun to be out there. I honestly, I wish the NHL did something like Radio Row. It was essentially just a huge sports media convention. So really cool.
That's cool for networking.
Totally. And like there were so many things that we saw from other people's set, other people's, just equipment they brought, things like that. Like it was awesome to just kind of be a part of it. And yeah, like you said, just kind of see everything. And, you and I aren't necessarily football people. I think people that know us wouldn't say, football expert.
But I did. Never mind. I shouldn't say this.
Say it.
I had a premonition about the fate of the Broncos season.
Oh no. Really?
Before it happened. Yeah. So
like an injury?
No. Just how the result of the title game.
Oh,
which
okay.
Honestly, I feel like they weren't the favorite. So a lot of people could have predicted that, but
I thought you were saying like
so I felt like a football person when I woke up the next day. I was like, wow, I'm even dreaming about football now.
I thought you were saying that you had a premonition about like Bo Nix is gonna.
That would have been kind of crazy. I did not.
I was gonna be like, did you put a hex on all this?
Whoa, no.
What?
No. If someone is ever like ridiculously lucky, you could look like that's a better bet. I would never wish harm on anybody.
Oh, I love it. All right, should we talk about the Olympics?
Absolutely.
Meghan,
also, hopefully it's okay, but because we've had all these guests on, I will throw to you some of the same types of questions.
Yes.
But I feel like they loop into the Olympic conversation. To include just kind of your general assessment of the team going into this break and your expectation for them coming out of it, especially because you went out to the Super Bowl stuff ahead of those last, couple of games. So I just kind of want to know where you left off with the team.
So when you're saying overall, like kind of impressions of the team, are you talking about the last month or so? Or are you saying like start of the year to
I want both. I want
Okay.
to measure the last month because that was the difficult stretch that had a lot of people concerned if vulnerabilities of the team were being exposed, and that was a more accurate reflection of who they were. And then if you would assign more weight to the totality of their season through this point, then I want you to lead with that because I think there's a bigger sample size there.
Right, for sure. And so I guess let me for the last month, whatever, 4 to 6 weeks leading up, I'm trying to pick the words here right. I don't think that's like the truer representation of who they are. I think, in fact, pretty far from that. But do I think that there were, holy smokes, that's a crazy save. Do I think that there were concerning tendencies and concerning parts of the game that held up for longer than I thought they would?
Yeah.
Yes. I really did, Megan, when the skid first kind of started, truthfully, I didn't even really think twice about it.
Right.
Because I was like, yeah, we all knew that this was going to come around eventually. You know, Gabe Landeskog and Devon Taves go out on back-to-back nights. Like, they'll kind of go through this rough, week or two, and then they'll rebound. And the part that I think concerned me the most was how we saw the consistency disappear. It felt like for the first 35 to 40 games, every single night, you would eventually get to a place where the Colorado Avalanche were playing their style of game.
Right.
Imposing their will, pushing pace, doing what they wanted to do. Now, again, it didn't yield a win 100% of the time, but they were competitive. They were in every game. They were picking up points. And again, it was because I felt that they consistently were able to find their game. Maybe it took them a bit to get there. Maybe they started off right off the jump. That is the part that I feel like I don't know if I saw them play, what we got in the habit of calling Avalanche hockey this year. I don't know if I saw that in January, like at all.
Yeah.
And that's the part to me that I did not expect to go on for more than a week or two. Now, that being said, I also think it's unfair to expect the level that they were playing at to continue for the entire season.
Right.
So, Megan, like I guess let me jump ahead to this. I think the break is the best thing that could have happened for them. I think, to me, at least, it was pretty clear that this was a group, and I'm going to tie this into something else that I've heard from around the league. I think the group was tired.
Yeah.
I think they were fried mentally. And I think the schedule has been so compressed. Like, I look, it's not a good excuse. You can absolutely say it's unacceptable, and you're justified in saying this. I think this group knew that there was a break coming. And I think specifically, the reason I'm not concerned long-term, although you can say it's concerning, I think that the last 10 days, they took their foot off the gas.
And it kind of felt concentrated around a lot of the Olympic guys.
I agree.
Who had more hockey to gear up for.
Yep. And again, like I said, you can say you don't like that. You can say, whatever, and I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just saying, like, that's my assessment of what happened, at least in the last week to 2 weeks before the break. Because I think you had a lot of guys that said either I've got hockey to go play, or guys saying, oh my God, I'm exhausted and I'm heading to Mexico in a week and I'm tired and we only have 3 more games left. We only have 4 more games, whatever it is. So that being said, I think they're going to come out of the break with their heads on right. And I think you go back to 2021 when they lose to Vegas in the second round of the playoffs, and there was a lot of conversation after about, did the Avs burn themselves out trying to get the number 1 seed?
Yeah.
And I remember Jared Bednar talking after the next season when they win the Stanley Cup, saying that was an emphasis for us, is we wanted to put ourselves in a good spot early so that we gave ourselves some runway down the stretch and we weren't having to kill ourselves in the last month of the season trying to get seeding. So I think that's something the Avs are going to focus on. We're only going to have 20-something games coming out of this break. I think the last 20-something games are going to be about getting back to the details and getting back to things being dialed in right. So my long-winded answer is, I saw some things that really I thought were concerning and stuff that you could point at and saying this needs to get fixed. That all being said, I have full confidence in this leadership group and the team that they've got behind the coaching staff they have and the management group they have, that they are going to get it all corrected and come out of this break rejuvenated, ready to go. And what I was going to say was, from stuff around the league, Elliot Friedman talked on 32 Thoughts on the last pod before the Olympics got started, saying that he had talked to people on teams all around the league, and they said that player, coach, and manager nerves were more fried this year than they've been in any of the years past, because of the compressed schedule, the pressure of the Olympics, and how tight a lot of the races are. And I think while the Avs maybe aren't in a tight race, I don't think they're exempt from feeling the weight of what this season has been so far to this point.
Yeah, I think the Olympic part of it is so different even from Four Nations. And then similarly, the scheduling, because it was something even Jared Bednar would talk about pretty openly, like in the availability leading up to break. Basically, the fatigue that maybe set in where there were games that they didn't play with complete effort. He didn't seem concerned that they didn't bring their best effort, because he recognized a lot of that stemmed from the schedule and everyone was at the mercy of the same schedule. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't using it as an excuse either, but he kind of pointed to how it was happening to other teams around the league as well. Everybody was struggling with it. So I think what's challenging is it doesn't get easier in that month coming out of the break. And I'm nervous, excited, curious to see how the team then responds, hopefully returning a little bit to fuller health with respect to Landeskog, Taves getting back up to game speed more fully, hopefully some clarity on Logan O'Connor on the other side of this too. It's a privilege that we haven't had the same conversation about Logan O'Connor the way we have Landeskog the last couple of years, but also it's going to be a harsh and quick reality that the Avs have to face as a team pretty soon, in the coming weeks.
And I mean, I'm going to get this number right.
For the trade deadline?
For games played, are we at 50? There's teams that have already played 59 games. The Avs are sitting at 55. But I mean, 60 is really when I start to consider you're in the home stretch. You're down to your last 20 games.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy, Megan, that to your point, you come out of the break, you have a week and some change.
Right, barely. I think it's 12 days.
12 days to the deadline. And then once you're past the deadline, that is where it goes from home stretch to all-out sprint. This is the team. There's really, barring, injuries or call-ups, this is your group. So I'm with you. The Avs, I think there were things that are plenty of reason to show some cause for concern. But I don't think it's anything where we can touch on the power play real quick before we get onto the Olympic stuff. But outside of the power play, while I saw some concerning things, nothing that I feel I don't know if they're going to be able to fit. Everything was details, effort, stuff like that I think is going to be cleaned up. And again, you can be upset about the fact that it seemed like guys maybe checked out a little bit. I'm not going to tell people not to feel that way. While at the same time, I'll also say, I get it.
I always like to, ahead of the deadline, kind of sit and just go with a gut feeling around what I think the Avs might do at the deadline. So I incorporate hockey knowledge into it as well, and there's a hockey related reasoning behind it. But I end up just kind of like, where does my heart feel called to with this? And something that I think that could not really surprise, but we haven't discussed as much, be a priority at the deadline, I think stems from this last stretch. And it's a common thread in the games that they lost were games where maybe they weren't checking enough. And so they abandoned aspects of their checking game across the board or consistently throughout the course of a full game. And I just wonder then if something that they'll be interested in adding in maybe forward depth or in exchange for this type of player is somebody kind of mean. And I think that will be interesting to see then, because I would directly point to this stretch and maybe what it revealed about the team, because I think Jared Bednar's system is an unforgiving one if you're not fully bought in. That's where the cracks can be exposed. And so it requires full effort. And that obviously is a hard demand to meet 82 games. I think in the course of a playoff series, this is the right type of group for it. I really do. I'm not concerned about where their heads are at. But that being said, I do think back to the way the Jury, O'Connor, Kelly line got kind of beat up on, and those aren't guys who shy away from that side of the game. So I'm just curious if that'll be something then around the deadline conversation that they address that I haven't really been thinking in that way. I've been thinking depth defenseman, 3C. But now I'm thinking a little outside the box that they might go for something a bit different or still in alignment with those things, but also checks that box.
Well, and one of the names, and we talked about it on the show before the Olympics, one of the names that I have heard that they've checked around a couple times is Kadri and how it could maybe work. And again, I think there's a lot of things with that you have to consider when you're talking about Nazem Kadri, potentially coming back to the Avs in terms of money, term, what it takes, all that stuff. But like, there's a player who's plays with an edge, knows what Jared Bednar's system's about, and hard work and heavy on the wall and all that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe that's a guy.
Who ended up like in my little, meditation session where what does my heart feel called? Blake Coleman. I know I said no, but my radar was pinging around that player. So I regret. I come to you humbly. It was your suggestion. I'm not happy about it, but he makes a lot of sense.
Right. But again, just like those types of players.
It's because his fit makes stylistically so much sense.
Stupid amounts of sense, right?
Yeah.
But no, so like I said, that the last month from the Avs was nowhere near good enough. I think you can look around the league and see that literally all 32 teams have gone through a stretch like that at some point this month. But if you're the Avalanche, you have aspirations to be at a different level than everyone else in the league. They need to come out of this Olympic break back closer to looking like they did for the first 3 months of the season. I really do. I think mental, physical fatigue were a real thing. And then I do think that they allowed themselves to check out a little bit, and that led to sloppy details, maybe not fully engaged effort on every night. And yes, those are things that if you're a fan or even someone in the organization, you can absolutely be upset about that stuff. I don't buy that that's closer to who they actually are than the really good hockey we saw them play for 3 months.
I agree. And just that locker room perspective, the losses hit them just as hard, if not harder, because in some of those games they recognized it was self-inflicted.
Yep. And
some of those post-game locker rooms in the losses that were in this stretch were really heavy. Not used to seeing it this season. It was a little bit of shock to the system because they had been so good to start this year that even the OT losses, things like that, right? Didn't feel great in the room, but they could at least be proud in the effort they put forth. That was a different type of locker room over some of those losses in this last stretch. That's worth noting that even though they didn't always play with complete effort, there was not a total abandonment of care.
And I can't fully, there's something a little bit in the way. It's hard to be upset with them. Actually, no, I'm just going to do this. It's hard to be upset with them cruising into the Olympic break. Seems to me more like they've been trying to avoid injury. I think that's not a terrible thought process here either. But here's the other thing too, Megan, that I think perspective is so important in all this stuff. If on October 5th, I told you going to the Olympic break, the Avs will have played 55 games and they'll be 37-9-9. And I didn't tell you how they got there, didn't tell you streaks, hot, cold, whatever. I don't think there would have been a single person who would have turned their nose up at single-digit regulation losses at game 55. So, again, recency bias is a real thing. They have not played well for the last month. No doubt, no ifs, ands, or buts. That being said, you take a step back, look at the holistic viewpoint. They're in a really good spot. They've earned the ability to go through a rough stretch. Now they've got to respond and bounce back out of it because the Minnesota Wild are 5 points behind you, but you have 3 games in hand. The Avs are still in a really good spot, and I think they needed the break, and it came at the perfect time. And I think November Colorado Avalanche is much closer to what this team's identity actually is than January.
I love it. You kind of put the power play aside for a second.
Yes, because I think
want
that's
to link it
separate
into Olympic conversation. And
well, let's start with talking about it with the Avs, and then we can take it to the Olympic conversation because boy, oh boy, are the Avs having power play success at the Olympics.
Yes. I think I'm just excited, proof of life, signs of life.
Right. I thought, because I listened to the show you and Evan did, and I thought Evan made the interesting point about Cale.
Yes.
And this is going to sound like really lazy analysis, but I actually think what Evan said of Cale Makar and lack of confidence, feels like he's forcing it at times. And then, is just throwing pucks, wide of the net, uncharacteristic. I think there's a little bit of all of that, or I think there's a bit of that happening with all of the power play guys right now. I think they're frustrated. I think it's in their heads. And I think for all the conversation that we get in the chat that you and I have about the power play, all the articles I've seen written, I can guarantee they feel the same way. And I think it's also why you'll see them have success and then immediately stray away from it because they don't even know what is working, what's not. And I think that a big part of their problem right now is everyone is doing what I thought Evan, really, eloquently put it for Cale. You've got guys who should be the solution who are actually causing bigger problems because I think they're trying so hard to fix it. And I don't know how you correct for that.
It did feel like there's a mental component to be addressed there because I felt a lot of that in ways with Nathan MacKinnon's role on it specifically. It's not that he is actively trying to hurt the power play.
Right.
I just think the pressure of trying to save it
led
to trying to force plays to come to fruition. And I think there was a lack of understanding of playing to his teammates' strengths as they exist right now. I think the point Evan raised about Mikko Rantanen, it's not just that Rantanen was that shooting threat from the right, because I think Brock Nelson really brings that up. He hits that really well.
He gives you that option back over there.
Yes. I think it was Mikko Rantanen's vision kind of from below the goal line that made him dangerous as a playmaker. And he didn't always lean into it. And so when the power play struggled just before the trade, I felt like Mikko kind of strayed away from that part of his role on the power play and was just trying to shoot from the circle. And so that's maybe where Brock Nelson hasn't, and it's not that Brock Nelson has to replicate what Mikko Rantanen was exactly then. I think you have to reevaluate what different types of tool options you have and play to those strengths. And so I think it's not, I don't mean to call it selfish or with little regard. It's just, it's then individualistic in
completely agree.
Playing to his own unique strengths, which he's abundant of. Like Nathan MacKinnon there's a reason he is a leader on the power play. And for that reason, though, that, forced pass to the bumper spot, I don't even, really view like Arturi Lehkonen when it's been him there as the issue. I think it's that, trying to force these plays that maybe Jonathan Drouin, I think it was Corey who brought up this point of the chemistry between those two and why that worked so well on the power play once upon a time. Anyways, all that to say, I think there has to be, take inventory of the unique strengths of the players that make up this 5-man unit. And so sometimes like the most dangerous play still might not be the most complementary to your teammate's strengths on the ice at that given moment. And so maybe the play that doesn't seem like the highest danger chance.
Oh my God, that was ridiculous vision from Nathan MacKinnon to Macklin Celebrini.
I'll just stop talking for a second.
I'm so sorry. That involuntarily came out of my mouth. That was that nice of a pass. Connor McDavid to Nathan MacKinnon to Macklin Celebrini. The back of the net, it's 3-1 Canada.
I'm just going to watch this too. So we're going to go quiet for a second.
Yeah. So then this whoop. Just a beautiful no-look pass from Nathan MacKinnon.
I love that's operating purely on instinct because that initial play they're trying to make is broken up. He jumps on that puck. He's aware of Celebrini on the ice. Honestly, that's exactly the kind of thing.
Right.
There have been moments where the power play in season has shown signs of life, and it's where Nathan MacKinnon has operated purely on instinct, particularly when things don't go to plan. That's been where he's been able to recover some of his own broken plays, and it's a no-look pass. It's been Olofsson at times, moving to the middle.
Jesus.
Brock Nelson. And I think that's when Nathan MacKinnon is most dangerous.
I agree. And I wanted to, you and I have talked a lot about, and this goes back to last year when we had PD on the show, talking about the Avs power play struggles last year before the Mikko Rantanen trade. And one thing that he mentioned to us is there's very little movement on this power play right now. And I think what you brought up a minute ago about the vision of Mikko Rantanen and his ability to find those seams and be a shooting threat, but then be able to find someone. I think that is something that has been missing. And I don't want to try to, oversimplify they're just going to move a little bit more, but we're going to transition here in just a second into talking about how the Avs skaters have performed at the Olympics, specifically on the power play.
Yeah.
And Nathan MacKinnon scored a power play goal yesterday. And look, I want to put this disclaimer out there first. You know what would help the Avs power play? Adding Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid. That would help. That would make it way better. But I don't know. I don't think they'll be able to pull that off at the deadline this year, getting both those guys. So the best you can hope is to take some lessons out of it, right? The goal that MacKinnon scores. McDavid's on the half wall in the Mikko Rantanen spot, if you will. Sidney Crosby. No, that's right. Connor McDavid's on the half wall in the Mikko Rantanen spot. Sidney Crosby's below the goal line. Puck goes to McDavid. McDavid moves it down low, and him and Crosby rotate and switch. That puck goes then back down below the goal line, and Connor McDavid has room to step out front, draws attention to him, and is able to move the puck over. That play is available to happen because Connor McDavid draws eyes to him, moves it down low, him and Crosby switch. Suddenly Crosby's in a shooting area, and they've got to respect that. So when he kicks it back below the goal line, suddenly Connor McDavid has a few feet to take a step out into a dangerous area. And again, attract attention or either put a shot on or make a pass. It's that type of stuff that I just don't feel I see the Avs doing enough. And again, this is confirmation bias example, but make lanes available. The Avs are getting pressed so aggressively along the perimeter from other teams' penalty kills this season. Jared Bednar acknowledged it. When other teams know that you're low on confidence, they press the puck. And you and I were pounding our heads against the table in Dallas last year because Dallas they were putting a guy 2 feet from Cale Makar, 2 feet from Nathan MacKinnon, and the Avs just seemed unwilling to change, unwilling to move, unwilling to try something different. And like, that's something that I watch those, the power play yesterday that Canada scored, that Nathan MacKinnon scored on for Canada. And you go, yeah, more of those types of elements where you're creating lanes and giving yourself the opportunity to have players that are great playmakers with great vision make plays. I just feel like it's all too stagnant.
Yeah, and it's not a singular thing, because there have been times where I think they maybe overpass in an effort to address this, but they have to move themselves. That's the other key component in movement here, right? It's not just puck movement, it's also them opening up the ice by moving themselves on the cycle. And so I think like right now, it's been trying to force cross slot stretch passes a little too harshly to open up the ice that way. And it's a cheat code if it works, but if that pass is blocked through the slot, then suddenly you're worried about shorthanded chances. And so I imagine too, if it's insulated by just cycling deeper in the zone, that even a broken play you can survive if you jump on those pucks, and you have to battle for them a little bit then below the goal line. And that's where I don't want to say that battle instinct, that compete on the power play hasn't always been there. I think that it has been there even on the power play this year. But when it's looked its worst and I've hated it the most, it's because I'm not seeing them trying to jump on pucks, recovering recovering them back when the inevitable broken play happens, because that's what penalty kills are designed to do. You have to be ready to pivot around that. So anyways, I don't have a singular solution. And
I think that's the thing, because like, you and I have done mailbags the last few weeks, and like we get that question, like, how do they fix it? I don't think it's any one thing. I think it's a combination of everything that people are frustrated about. It's the zone entry, it's the player movement, it's the puck movement, it's not shooting, it's it's all of those things. And they need to start checking them off one at a time to get back to a point where your power play is viable.
And I almost think too, like if it is kind of all of those things all at once, this heaping pile of trouble, you take a step back and the common thread there is confidence leading to those issues. And I have lots of ways that I work on my confidence. I don't know that I'd recommend them to Nathan MacKinnon, like affirmations in the mirror. I don't know what would work for this. Yes, you are great. I don't know if it's team building together, because it's silly to say with a power play that has so many of the same players year after year. You know what I mean? I even find it hard to point to chemistry, like, clearly that's the issue here.
Right.
But there is a lack of connectivity. So, there is some kind of reconnection that needs to be reestablished there. So anyways, confidence. Look, I'm not going to tell them how to do that part. They are professional athletes. The way they process the mental side of the game, it's really unique. It's also something that they have to work on to play at this level. So anyways, confidence.
And I'm with you. I think you put it perfectly. There's a pile of stuff. I think confidence at the top. You need to start there and then just work your way down.
And you might find too, like, this is actually no longer an issue now that I'm believing in myself.
Right. And again, maybe it's also because that's maybe the part that's the most perplexing is we'll see a game, a period, where it's like, that was 2 really good power plays. You converted on one and the other one was great. And then you get a power play in the third and it's like, hey, you did nothing that you did in the first period. That could not have gone worse. If you find that confidence, maybe you can start to put some consistency together as well.
Yeah. Sorry, there's a lot happening in my mind right now. Because even, you have to walk away from the power play you don't convert on, but you had good looks. You still have to walk away feeling confident, right?
Well, power plays are supposed to generate momentum for your team. It's supposed to be 2 minutes where no matter what, you've got the next 2 minutes where the puck's going to be on your stick. You're putting chances towards the net. Spend some time in the offensive zone. And it almost feels like power plays have become the opposite for the Avs, where they're actually just opportunities for the other team to pick up some momentum with a really strong kill. And like, that's something that I think you have to get out of the habit of. I'm going to say 2 last things here.
I think I have one
about the power play. And I don't know. They're maybe a little hot takey. My first one is, Meghan, I've seen this sentiment a lot. This is just me. I don't think the difference between the Avs winning the Stanley Cup and losing the Stanley Cup is the power play. I just don't. I've watched too much hockey in my life to know that by the time you get past really the second round, you're lucky to get more than one power play in a game. So I think it absolutely has to be better, and it's gotten to a point where it is a concern. It's a real concern. It's a mess. I don't think that is the difference between them getting to the Stanley Cup final and not, personally. My other thing, because I've seen this sentiment so much about the personnel on the power play. You know what I don't think helps and what I don't think improves the confidence and all that stuff is taking guys like Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar off the power play.
Okay, yeah. I think that's an important thing to clarify.
I
There's a reason we haven't seen it.
Right. If Cale Makar ever got to a point where he said, I don't think I'm being effective out here, Jared, roll Burns, roll Devon, then that's a call that Cale Makar is making. But what I can absolutely 100% guarantee folks out there is Jared Bednar going to Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, and saying, you're off the power play. That's not going to fix anything. Those are my two.
Okay, mine thing was kind of related, and it's just observation. They have that 4v4 opportunity they score on in the final game before the break, and they're great 5v5. Probably best possession team 5v5. Feels really easy to say that. And honestly, that was true of their process against Dallas in that series. So that's one thing I'm very confident will not be an issue for the Avs. I have more confidence in their penalty kill, and I liked it last year, but I feel it's done more consistently over the regular season, that I have more confidence in that. So I find it interesting then that the chemistry, connectivity, even strength has been fine. It's something about the added player that suddenly everything's weird. And I think that's where even Jared Bednar kind of points to this as being weird. Is 5v5, it's fine. So like, I don't know how this is even a chemistry thing if it's fine otherwise. So really don't have a point there other than there has to be a path to getting it back on track with how good they are at even strength. And I don't have a singular solution for it, but I think that there is something in the details there that is worth replicating.
100%. And I think, you know what that sounds like? Goes back to confidence.
And it all goes back to confidence.
Because you're totally right. What is happening when you go from even strength and even 6-on-5, they're good?
Is it too many cooks in the kitchen?
Right. It's like, what is it about 5-on-4 specifically that is just like, they just can't do it. And that's why I really do. And again, this is maybe weak analysis. And I'm positive there's a billion things that if you and I pulled up and we're just running through a clip of a power play that we could point at, I think above all else, they're in their own heads.
Yeah. That's why I hope that's the result of these Olympics. And honestly, really like the return so far with the Avs being able to convert on some of their power play opportunities with their respective teams. And it's coming in, I don't know, kind of different ways, like even the Landeskog power play goal, just from the high slot, like kind of a different area you're used to seeing him play from. He has a shot that can sometimes sneak up on you. Not saying that's the way to use Gabriel Landeskog on the Avs power play.
Right. But again, he was playing where the Avs normally like him. And what happened? He drifted out high away from coverage, found a soft spot of the ice. He moved and created a lane for himself. Well, so let's talk about how the Avs are looking at the Olympics, and let's specifically start with the power play. Right after, I remind you guys about our new friends and partners with Den Perks. You guys heard Meghan talk about the great pineapple on pizza debate earlier this week. But let me just tell you about Den Perks in general, because this is a new program at the Denver airport that I think is just awesome as someone who goes through the airport with some regularity. Den Perks is the 200 plus restaurant, retail, and service you'll find on every concourse. That's right. They're there. Den Perks is a part of everything that you see at Denver International Airport. And they are right now doing the Great Pizza Debate. Everyone has a say about it. More on that in just a second. Den Perks Rewards members can earn rewards by making purchases at restaurant and retailers at the airport. You get paid to eat and shop. You earn points with every purchase, then turn those points into rewards like gift cards, cash, even airline miles, which is the most exciting part. Right now, during the Great Pineapple on Pizza Debate, you can sign up to become a member, and you're automatically entered to win a chance to win the $1,000 grand prize or $100 runner-up prizes. Denver International Airport is home to a surprising number of homegrown brands that found early success along Colorado's Front Range and have now opened new locations right in the concourses. Travelers find popular names like Bardot, Tacos Tequila Whiskey, and others. And Den Perks is part of all of it. You even will earn rewards at the speakeasy called Williams and Graham. Denver International Airport is the 6th busiest airport in the world with a footprint larger than the city of San Francisco. So make sure you guys are heading over denperks.com to get your account signed up for. And right now, head on over pizza.denperks.com. We'll have a link in the description. Cast your vote for the Great Pineapple on Pizza Debate. Great new partners of ours over at Den Perks. And I honestly can't believe that it took someone this long to come up with such an awesome idea. There's so many things available in the airport Tire Rewards program to all of it. Absolutely love it. Do also want to tell you guys about our other new partners up at Johnson Auto Plaza. Experience the power of the plaza at Johnson Auto, where you'll find a massive selection of used vehicles alongside with brand new Chevy, Buick, GMC, and all new Jeep and Ram. It's like 5 dealerships all at one location. If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, visit johnsonautoplaza.com and experience the power of the plaza at Johnson Auto Plaza right now. We'll be dropping another link here in the description. Check out Johnson Auto Plaza and experience the power of the plaza.
I love that.
Right? The power of the plaza, the power of the power play at the Olympics.
At the plaza.
At the plaza, the Power Plaza.
Ooh, the Power Plaza.
Power play rebrand?
That's all the Avs need. They need a rebrand.
The Avs are so true. The Avs are heading to the Power Plaza for the rest of the year. It's no longer the Power Play. It's the Power Plaza, and maybe we'll see if that.
Have you seen Tate McRae like earlier in her career, just kind of the general vibe she had compared to now?
Mm-hmm.
Also, did she rebrand as a Canadian to a USA hockey fan? What?
Hey.
Anyways, the power of a rebrand shouldn't be understated.
Everyone needs a rebrand. And like I said, we're calling it the Power Plaza for the rest of the season. Hey, Sven Andrighetto shout out. Look at Sven 10.
That is him.
Playing for Switzerland. He is playing. Again, Nathan McKinnon, power play goal. Gabriel Landeskog, power play goal. Brock Nelson, power play goal. I believe Arturi Lehkonen, power play assist. And then did Marty Netchus get a power play goal yesterday as well? Or today, yes, Excuse me, this morning. I'm so excited for the Winter Olympics to be in Salt Lake City in 2032 so that the games aren't in the middle of the night.
They're just very oddly spaced out times.
Yes. But this morning, so Meghan, I did a mailbag yesterday and someone asked, like, can the Olympics fix the Avs power play? No, but I think there's a lot to learn for each of these players individually. They all have guys that they're playing with. Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby for Canada. If you're Brock Nelson with Team USA, you're on a team with guys like Quinn Hughes, Austin Matthews, who, are big power play performers. Marty Netchus even playing with a guy like David Pastrnak. Those are all guys that you can take stuff from that's not insignificant, that if you can come home with like some, hey, this is some stuff that other guys really successful at the man advantage do. Like, you can never have too many people brainstorming on stuff like that.
Yeah, I think too, there could be an interesting result with like Marty Netchus, what he represents on Czechia's power play is different from even his role on the Avs power play. Though it's a big one, you still are kind of third fiddle to Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon. So I think it could be interesting for players like even Landeskog in Sweden's power play, just kind of what they represent. And then Brock Nelson's humbled because he's not even on. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So he says, all right, I'll just keep scoring goals. I'll show you guys. Anyways, I think the different roles on the power plays can be an interesting thing too. Maybe there's a lesser pressure that Nathan MacKinnon, Canada's power play success doesn't live and die on just his shoulders. And there are really good power play guys in McDavid and Crosby that he can also lean on to share that load. So I think there's that interesting result as well in how it can help them.
I'm going to cut you off here real fast because you just said something so interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Do.
I know you do. I know you do. I hadn't thought about that. Is there a world here where Nathan MacKinnon comes? Because I mean, like, here's the other thing too, Megan. Like, we are, and look, the Avs don't have Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby on their power play, but like, when that power play is at full strength, you got a lot of really good players out there. I mean, literally, your top power play unit, you have too many Olympians to fit onto your top power play unit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is that something where Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon can come back and be like, hey, I don't have to do all of it. I this power play can be wildly effective by me not having to do all of it.
I hope so, because it's like, you don't have McDavid, you don't have Crosby, you don't have Celebrini, but you do have Cale Makar and Marty Netchus and Brock Nelson and Gabriel Landeskog, other Olympians, Arturi Lehkonen. And so it's like, all right. Those are still really good players. I think that's the frustration of not only the fan base, but even the coaching staff looking at it like, these are the best. There are so few teams who get to have this many good players that on Olympic rosters are on the power play.
Didn't even mention Val Nichushkin.
There was I think it's Brock Nelson on the Puck Around podcast, was talking about Val Nichushkin's game. And I think it's just worth noting how to have that size and that puck skill in one package, and he's the fifth name in this list of guys we've talked about so far.
It's just like, you've got great players. You've got great players. It's part of the reason why I don't understand why it just doesn't work. Let's start to wind it down here and talk about non-power play related stuff.
What?
Megan, I can't tell you how much I have loved these Olympics so far.
Yeah.
The women's tournament was really great. US and Canada are so far ahead of the rest of the field, though, that there's been some great parity on the men's side, maybe in ways that I didn't expect. Italy lost 3-2 today.
They put up a fight. Honestly, some goalie, the injury in the middle.
Yeah. Like they played. I loved seeing the emotion on the players' face when they opened the scoring against Sweden yesterday. Italy, and the plays going nuts. Like it's been awesome hockey.
Yes.
The pace yesterday for Canada. Oh my gosh, wasn't Latvia? It was Canada beat. Oh, why am I completely drawing
I have
blank?
My schedule. I'll save.
It was yesterday. This is so embarrassing.
Was it Czechia?
It was. I was wanting to say Slovakia, but I knew that wasn't right. Czechia. But like a great game. The pace in that game was out of control. Canada, Czechia. Like it looked like a Stanley Cup final game. The speed that they were playing at, it's been outstanding. And like I said, the women's tournament is so funny because the US and Canadian women are light years ahead.
And that's without Marie-Philippe Poulin due to injury, who I hope can return later.
She skated today. She said that her knee is still hurting.
It sounds like she's in a very very dicey category of uncertainty.
I wouldn't play her tomorrow.
I don't think they need to.
Now I will say, if I'm Canada and the way that game against the US went, like I was sitting there at home going, is MPP that important to this Canadian team that like they just got straight dominated by the US without Marie-Philippe Poulin? And it's like, oh man, how much is she the straw that stirs the drink there? And it might be more than I thought.
I think that's the interesting thing about these kind of one and done games too. Like there was probably a shock with that USA Canada initial game to the system that I imagine they respond to obviously in these last games differently from. So I think they can hang on for tomorrow's without her and not risk not having her for a medal game.
Right.
So
that's my thought. If you can go without her for a quarterfinal game, which you're probably going to be fine in, save her semifinals gold medal game. Because like if I'm Canada, I am a little bit concerned about having to play the US and for a gold medal if I don't have MPP.
I mean, given how that first game went,
right.
I think it's been fun to root for the USA women's team.
I completely agree. It's been a blast.
I've been so excited by how young some of the women are that are making a difference because I'm used to seeing it be kind of what I consider like the veteran players. Marie-Philippe Poulin. And like the veteran players are still making a difference on Team USA, but some of the young players have had a say in it too. And it's so fun to see.
I mean, is this not exactly what you and I talked about? I think it was last year of the PWHL, as awesome as it is right now, what it means for the future of the women's game is what I'm the most excited about. And I actually think you're totally right, Megan. And I think you're already seeing the fruit of that start to bear of like,
what is Abby Murphy after college?
Right. And is that someone who would have continued to pursue a career in hockey if not for a league like the PWHL coming to fruition? And how many of these young women that we're seeing have an impact at the Olympics? How much of that is a result of women who are now not going to pursue other degrees and other careers outside of hockey? And it makes me excited for, yes, you watch that Canada US women's game, and then the game that comes on right after looks like it's half speed. And you sit there, you say, okay, now at the PWHL, and I know there are Finns and Swedes coming over.
Yes.
How long until those other programs start to close that gap? You can't bet on the U.S. women on the money line. Did you know that, Megan? They are so heavily favored in every game, the books won't even let you bet on them to win outright.
Wow.
How long until that at least starts to change a little bit? And that, I think, is something that's exciting as well. As much as I love watching the U.S. women mop up right now.
Right.
Again, like I love the fact that Finland loses to Slovakia yesterday on the men's side, then comes back today and beats Sweden 4-1. Like I love that it's that competitive.
I do like how much more competitive it's been.
And I get excited looking at what's happening in the women's tournament right now. The young players that you're talking about. There's even a couple players on the Czech roster in particular that you could tell are a couple steps ahead than maybe the rest of the team. That's going to start that gap is going to start to narrow in a hurry. If we're already seeing what I think are the impacts of the PWHL now,
right?
By the time we get to Salt Lake in 2032, I cannot wait for what that hockey is going to look like.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. Because it's already great now. On the men's side, anything that has surprised you in the first 2 days of competition? Any players that have jumped off the ice in a good or bad way?
I mean, all good so far. Like to see Tage Thompson.
Oh my gosh.
It's.
Blech. I almost texted you yesterday. He's so sick.
Yeah, he should have been on Four Nations, right? Ugh. And it's like, okay, he has great worlds, and this is why he should have always been in consideration. I think he gets buried in the heaping pile of trouble with Buffalo that it's not it's such a disservice to how good of a player he is. I don't think we get to appreciate that in its fullest potential. That's not to just take a total sideswipe at Buffalo. It's just I think he's so good. And then Celebrini, similarly, like he's obviously such a difference maker for San Jose. Nobody denied that. But for him to fit in and play with guys like Sidney Crosby as seamlessly as he does, his game has so many pro habits already built in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he's a very mature young player, but I think it only gets better the more seasoning he gets in the league, that I'm so excited for what exists for his future.
Mm-hmm. No, I think those are both great. And I saw a tweet actually about it yesterday. One of my favorite things, Meghan, about when the NHL is at the Olympics is you end up with these guys who play in other leagues or in the AHL or in the ECHL, even for these smaller nations that get these opportunities to really shine. The Italian goaltender yesterday against Sweden, until he unfortunately got hurt halfway through the game, made 48 saves and then got hurt and had to leave, and there was still a ton of time left in the game, had already made 48 saves.
The Latvian video coach.
The Latvian video coach. Oh my gosh. The Slovakian goaltender, Hravl. I can't even pronounce it right.
Oh, is it with a
H at the beginning?
Is it Rabol with a B?
It might have been, but he's been in a below average AHL goaltender this year, has played some ECHL games, but was absolutely fantastic for Slovakia against Finland. Like those are the moments that I love about the Olympics, is because these, again, specifically from the smaller, Nordic countries and stuff like that, they're guys who aren't NHL players, but get their moments to shine on a massive stage. And I just think it's so fun. And like I said, the fact that Slovakia knocked off Finland yesterday, and then Finland comes right back and beats Sweden to get themselves kind of back in play to win that pool. It's so competitive. There's so much parity. It's just been an absolute blast these first 2 days.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was one. I felt like there was one additional person. Oh, I didn't want to give him. I really like Thomas Harley. He's such a problem. Like, the Avs probably have to deal with this at some point. He's just so good. Even his impact in the Avs Dallas series was really carrying. And for such a young player to carry the brunt of that, I mean, we've seen it with Cale Makar from the start of his career, but from the back end out to have that kind of impact on the game the way that Cale Makar has, I see shades of it in Thomas Harley. And it's troublesome to admit it.
Team USA, Austin Matthews was named captain of Team USA, scores a goal yesterday. Seen a lot of people being very critical of his play yesterday and tying it back to the struggles he's had this season. Do you have any thoughts on Austin? Did you watch USA Latvia yesterday?
Yeah.
We're going to go to Brock Nelson next, but I just wanted to start with Austin Matthews because he's a player that I saw a lot of conversation around yesterday being a disappointing effort from him.
It's weird because I don't have a criticism of him, but I also don't have a compliment of like his leadership and how obvious it is on the ice. And so honestly, as you're saying it, I'm like, I remember seeing him, with the C on his chest and thinking to myself, just what does he do as a captain? I can't speak to the behind the scenes of that kind of impact, what kind of voice he has with Toronto, but I've wondered that for a long time. I just don't have a huge criticism of the play specifically, but it is what a weird captain.
I agree.
I'm trying to think too, like, I feel like there are other guys that are so clearly impacting the game that give more of a captain vibe.
So here's my thing with Team USA. You and I talked about it before with the high-end talent of Canada. They don't have a Cale Makar, a Nathan McKinnon, a Connor McDavid, a Sidney Crosby. And not only do I think that they not have those guys in terms of the skill, I don't think they have the leaders that have the overall respect that guys for other countries do. They don't have a Gabe Landeskog where it's just like, yep, that's the guy. Sidney Crosby, that's the guy. They don't have that. I think they have a bunch of guys that you say, oh yeah, really, really good player, but I don't know if he's the leader of your team. And I think that's why you kind of just defaulted it to Austin Matthews, because like, who else would it be? Truthfully, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe one of the Kachucks.
So I was actually thinking some of it's a personality thing too, like just who has a more dominant personality to be able to command a room. And that's where I just don't know that I view Austin Matthews in that way, but Matthew Tkachuk, I do view in that way. A little bit on the younger side, so I wonder if like some of the older players, does that command the same respect? And honestly, like if you're Gabriel Landeskog, that was never an issue.
Right.
So if you have the right voice and messaging, sometimes the delivery, right, it doesn't necessarily matter. I think JT Miller is an interesting guy because I feel like in situationally, he can really command a room, but he can also really lose it. So that's a volatile choice. Obviously, like former Islanders captain Brock Nelson, could wear a letter in the leadership core.
Right. I'm not necessarily saying that Brock Nelson should be the captain, but just like
I am.
But what I was actually going to say before you took the bullet for me, without me having to say it first, like when I just look at the guys, and like, yeah, when I look in terms of like maturity, lead by example, all that stuff, like I don't know, Brock Nelson is a name that at least like hits my radar.
Eichel's kind of another that I think of
truthfully
being a good mix of a little bit of all of them.
Yes,
too.
And I think Matthew Tkachuk is kind of the type of leader that like I think you could say Nathan McKinnon kind of is, where it's like a follow my lead, not necessarily I'm going to command the room kind of thing, but just do as I do, match my effort type leader. You know, Dylan Larkin's the captain in Detroit. What was the other name you just said?
Eichel.
Thank you.
Kyle Connor, a leader.
Mm-hmm. And then like seriously, bro, I just,
there's some guys who have a calm leadership presence. So that's what I think of as Brock Nelson. Kyle Connor would be in that category. Dylan Larkin would be in that category. Not necessarily a bad thing. You do want it represented, like what Cale Makar represents in the Avs leadership core. Also I really like Charlie McAvoy. I think that he could have a really agreeable personality.
Zach Werenski. Like
I could see him being huge competitor on the ice, like maybe not the most vocal.
Right.
I don't know him personally. I don't.
Well, and to the point you made off the top, like we're not in the Maple Leafs room every day. I just think that everyone that we just listed, had I seen that announced as captain, I feel like I would have been like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
There's just a few captains here to choose from.
And to end up with Austin Matthews, who like has kind of built this reputation of like, doesn't love talking to the media, gets combative with stuff, disappears in the playoffs. I just thought that was a weird pick for this, like, hey, we're putting this team together to go toe to toe with Canada. And like, I just thought Austin Matthews was an interesting choice to be the guy where it's like, everyone fall in line behind this guy. Just thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah, I think there's other captains to choose from.
And it feels a little bit like, oh, he scored the most, he has the most goals, so we'll just give it to him. Finland giving it to Mikael Granlund, I thought was interesting, but I thought that said something about like, you didn't just give it to the best player. You gave it to the guy that you felt led your room.
Right. Veteran.
Right. And maybe that's what Austin Matthews does, and we just don't see it.
Well,
but
We're not the only ones asking the question. So
it was just interesting. Yeah. I just interesting choice. Brock Nelson.
Yeah.
Brock Nelson. Look, there's the obvious, and everybody was dunking on it yesterday. Travis Yost, Brock Nelson will be gasping and wheezing through a game with Canada while Jason Robertson's at home. Well, Brock Nelson had what could have been a 5-point day. Multi-goal performance, hit a couple posts, and was everywhere. It was fantastic defensively for the U.S., killed penalties. A great game for Brock Nelson. And I think not only do you like to see it, just him continuing to roll from the last couple months with the Avs, but also look, these guys are pros. Like you said earlier, Meghan, they're great at handling the mental side of the game. He saw a lot of that stuff. He saw people questioning his spot on Team USA. And I thought that was a nice opportunity for him to go out and stick it in their face.
I'm cracking up too for what that processing must have been like on his end, where he's looking at the batches of goals that he's been scoring since the month of January onward. Like, honestly, it's every month increased more and more, but he's been unbelievable January onward. And I just can't imagine him looking back at that like, what do you mean? Why?
Right.
Are you guys not seeing this?
Well,
does this not count for anything?
And I also imagine he was sitting there going, I'm 34. I'm not that old.
Right.
I don't know why. I do know why. You and I have said that Four Nations photo did him zero favors.
Yeah, there's certain photos that don't really accurately capture his youthfulness. But you know, what I will say too is I love the attitude of Brock Nelson, who now in his change in joining the Colorado Avalanche, where he was, a top line center, captain, to kind of finding his role on the Avs, finding his voice within this group and earning it. He had this body of work he could point to and say, don't you know who I am? And he didn't do that. He put his work boots on. And I think he's even elevated his game beyond what it's been previously in some of the work he does on the forecheck and just the extra strides to win battles, win races for pucks. Just such effort from Brock Nelson. He was always good on the defensive side of the puck, going back to the start of the year, even when the production didn't line up. Where I'm going with this is you have to have the right attitude to not take that as a stab at your pride in any way. He puts his work boots on and gets to work on the penalty kill. It's not as if he's never killed penalties. It's not as if he's never killed penalties. But now he's emerged as one of the most important players for the Avs penalty kill success.
Right.
And he's also on their power play. So he's playing big minutes. And joining an existing leadership group. So then finding his voice there. And then now on Team USA, he's seeing the discourse of everyone's wondering why he made the cut, and he's playing technically, a fourth line role.
Right.
And he impacted every aspect of the game. Yesterday, was it?
Yep.
And so I just think you have to have the right attitude to be handed any situation and make lemonade out of it like that, the way that Brock Nelson has.
And you said it, or you and I said it in the lead up. That's why he's there. Team USA knows that. Their leadership, their management knows that. And that's why he's there. And I just love that for him yesterday, being able to prove it. But any final thoughts on maybe guys that we didn't, Arturi Lehkonen? I think, and I need to double check today. I think everyone but Kivy has a point so far, but also Kivy's not getting scratched. Like, he's in the lineup. So off to a good start for the Avs at the Olympics.
Yeah. I thought he was scratched today for some reason.
See,
now I need to look it up because I'm like,
the game was in the middle of the night. So I'm double checking. I got it right here. He was a
but he wasn't before.
But he wasn't before.
And that's what matters.
He wasn't before. Here's my final thought for the day. One, I really like you can dress extra guys. I really like that rule.
Yeah.
But it is leading to some interesting Oliver Ekman-Larsson no shifts, no time on ice. Philip Forsberg, 1 shift for a minute of time on ice yesterday. It has definitely yielded some interesting results. But I like the rule because if you go down a skater, it's suddenly not like the end of the world.
Yeah, I like it too. I feel like there could be interesting value in that too. Like, what if something happened inside a game that was really crazy? And it's like, you know what? If we don't pull this guy out, things are going to get heated.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Mikko Rantanen's going to get targeted the next time he plays the Islanders.
But no, like it's a way that if you, because like we've seen it with Jared Bednar where it's like, oh man, and I'm going to use Marty Netchus because it happened at some point in January where Netchus hardly played in the third period. And we asked Jared Bednar about it after. He's like, yeah, he wasn't having a good game. And
he was really sick.
Right. That's right. He was really sick. But so again, like, hey, he wanted to play. He clearly didn't have it. So after the second period, we just sat him down and rotated in this guy. Like, I think I like that rule. Maybe it's better where it's like you can keep them half ready in the locker room or something like that. So that you don't have to have a player like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Stanley Cup champion, whatever, 15-year veteran of the league, sitting on the bench for no minutes. But either way, I like the rule.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
I think that's it for me too.
I think we should talk about the power play more.
Tune in for tomorrow's show about the power play.
The Power Plaza.
The Power Plaza. We'll discuss it, I'm sure, a billion times more. We got a special guest coming in next week. Not quite sure on day yet, but we should have a fun guest coming in who has some great Olympic insight. But otherwise, enjoy this Olympic hockey this weekend. Megan, I'm with you. You and I, we always prefer to be at the rink. But I got to say, it was nice to get a weekend to just turn it off, not have to worry about being there, and then get to come out of the weekend and get to watch some really fun hockey that you and I just get to enjoy. So this has been a really nice kind of refreshing break. But we already are at the point where we're only 5 days out from them getting back on the ice for practice. And we'll be able to start getting back in the swing of things. So
I'm excited.
She's Meghan Angley. I'm Jesse Montano. We got John behind the glass today, making it all happen. As always, that's going to do it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, she's Meghan. I'm Jesse. We'll see you Monday.